If you're thinking about retiring in Oregon, this video is going to save you a ton of time. As a top 1% realtor in Southern Oregon, my team and I have helped hundreds of clients relocate all across the state. And the truth is, the right spot can absolutely make or break your retirement experience. Just because a town offers stunning scenery like behind me doesn't mean it's the best fit for the lifestyle that you've envisioned living. Or just because a town is the most affordable, that doesn't mean it's going to have all the medical care that you might want. The decision on where to retire in Oregon is much more nuanced than simply picking a popular spot that you read about in a magazine. You need to really learn about all the options so that you can pick the places that are going to be the best fit for you. And that's where I come in. My name is Brian Simmons. I'm with the Buying Southern Oregon Real Estate team. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the top 6 places to retire in Oregon, including some hidden gems, some really well-known names, and some places that I personally believe are the sweetest spots for most retirees. So let's go ahead and jump right on in with number 6. And that is the Eugene and Corvallis area. So if you want arts, culture, and a college town vibe, Eugene and Corvallis might be a great fit for you. These towns have a younger energy thanks to the 2 big universities, but also strong community ties, great parks, and a big focus on the arts. I actually lived in Eugene for 4 years when I was getting my degree from the University of Oregon, so I have firsthand experience of what it's like living there, and it wasn't all good, but it wasn't terrible either. I also have family that lives in the Corvallis area, my sister, and so I could see firsthand from their experience what it's like raising kids and growing a family in that area, and there's definitely some pros and cons to each of those, so let's talk about that. Here's what the area has going for it. So first off, a strong arts community, like we mentioned, good music, local culture, and that's really largely anchored by the 2 universities, the Oregon State Beavers and the University of Oregon Ducks, where I went, so go Ducks. Both of these areas have a lot of nice walkable neighborhoods with parks and great rivers nearby with the Willamette River and the McKenzie and all that around the Eugene Corvallis area. They have good medical access with the hospitals in those areas and a really, really good community-minded feel. The hospitals, I think, are something that shouldn't be understated. There's good choice there in both Corvallis and Eugene, great options and a lot of good care in those areas. The downsides to these towns is that they're not really as affordable as you might think, okay? You'd be looking probably in the $500 to $600 range for the median, and the cost of living in these areas is about 110% of the national average, so about 10% above the national average, which you have to consider takes all of the Midwest and the South and everything where cost of living is pretty low, takes all that into consideration. So 10% above the national average on the West Coast is really pretty good. So that's something to keep in mind. The weather in the Eugene and Corvallis area is one of the things that is important to know about, and it's pretty gray and can be pretty rainy for a long time. They average about 155 days of sunshine per year and get about 50 inches of rain per year, which is going to be near the top of the list that we're talking about today. The last thing is that traffic and housing availability can be a little bit frustrating and a little rare, especially when you're looking at those areas near the campuses, kind of the downtown type areas. Can be a little bit of a challenge in those areas, but let's go ahead and move on to the next spot, which is number 5. And coming in at number 5 is the Portland suburb areas like Beaverton, Lake Oswego, Wilsonville, all those kind of towns around the Portland area. So if you want to be near the city and have the amenities associated with all of that, the downtown Portland type stuff, without all the chaos of it, then these are the suburbs that you're definitely going to want to take a look at. Areas again like Beaverton, Lake Oswego, Wilsonville, they all offer kind of a more refined lifestyle, I would say, with access to shopping and a variety of shopping, all sorts of the normal stuff, the Targets and stuff that you see, but also really high-end shopping as well that you would expect in a normal downtown big city type of an area. Amazing healthcare in the Portland area with OHSU, the Shriners Hospital, the Legacy Manual. There's all sorts of Dornbeckers for kids, lots of really, really great options in the Portland area when it comes to hospitals, and all the big city perks that you're used to, a big international airport that flies all over the world, and all sorts of things like that you get access to, but without really having to be right in the middle of it all. So these are good options for you if you're wanting to have that proximity, but still also have a little bit of space and good proximity to nature as well. So here's what these areas have have going for them. Again, the close proximity to healthcare, the OHSU, Legacy, Emmanuel, Dornbeckers, all those are really, really close. They're just right on the outskirts of Portland. Really nice, well-maintained, well-planned communities. You can find those all over these suburbs. Great opportunities for like an active lifestyle for retirees. Good walkability, good golf courses, all those types of things. Opportunities for rowing and whatever you might want to do, mountain biking, road biking. There's a lot of those types of opportunities, and also probably more of the like club type activities than you would see on most other areas on this list. So if you're looking for options for country clubs or for quilting clubs or whatever the case may be, you're going to find a lot more of that up in the Portland area in these suburbs. But the downsides of that is that it's also quite a bit more expensive than most other areas on this list, okay? So home prices are in the Lake Oswego area, for example, gonna be like $800,000 and up, and can go, when I mean up, they can go way up into the multiple millions if you talk about getting, lakefront or waterfront in one of these areas, or you're even, in a nice vineyard type property, you can get well into the millions on those. These suburbs tend to be around 122% of the national average when it comes to just overall cost of living, and so again 22% above the mid average there, so not crazy high, not like the San Francisco area, which is around 200 and something percent, and Seattle's significantly more than right around the same, but significantly above the national average. But overall, to be on the outskirts of town, have all those amenities, and be 22% above the average isn't really terrible in my opinion. Traffic can be definitely frustrating at times when you're looking at the Portland area. If you're trying to get into town, for example, it can be a little tough to do that sometimes. And overall, you're going to get somewhat of a less relaxed feel than some of the other spots on this list that offer more of the small town kind of vibe. Weather up in the Portland area is definitely one of the things that I would say is a downside, where you're going to be looking at about 140 or so days of sunshine a year, and you're going to experience about 40 inches of rain per year. So that's a lot of rain. And in the event you get a really cold spell or a cold front that moves in during one of those rainstorms, you end up with an ice storm or snow, and that can bring the city of Portland and the surrounding area to an absolute standstill. There's all sorts of articles and stuff on that you can find if you Google, Snowmageddon and stuff like that in the Portland area. You'll see there's times where people have been stuck in their cars for a day or more on the freeway because it just iced over and everything shut down. So it's not a city that was built for those types of events, and when they do happen, it's best to plan ahead and stay clear of town. But let's put a bow on that one and move on to number 4 on this list. And that's going to be the Oregon coast, all right? Now, the coast is one of those dream retirement spots for a lot of people, but it is definitely not for everyone. So if you think you're going to be going suntanning on a beautiful sandy beach in Oregon, you are going to be very disappointed. And I shouldn't say that, because I mean, there are some days that you can go out there and get a suntan, maybe like 4 or 5 days a year you can go lay on the beach. That's just kidding, there's more than that. But my point is, it's not Southern California. It's not the same type of beach that you would expect to see down there, even though we're just one state north. It is very, very different. There's places on the Oregon coast that offer their own beauty. Florence, Bandon, Newport, all these places offer beautiful, dramatic views of the ocean and big rock formations and all that sort of stuff. They offer great fishing, cooler weather, tight-knit communities, but the lifestyle, again, is just very specific, and it's not something that all retirees are going to love for the long term. I've worked with a lot of people who have looked over there or even made the move over there, and then quickly after a year or two realize it's just too much gray, too much rain, too much wind, and they need to make a change. So let's talk about what these towns on the Oregon coast have going for them, and that is going to definitely be beautiful scenery, stunning scenery with just the beach town vibe. So lots of cool art shops, art and galleries, photography, great kite flying, and then those sorts of fun activities. It's a good place to go visit with if you have grandkids or kids. We like to go over there and do that type of stuff a lot. So good proximity to the famous Oregon sand dunes. Okay, so if you're into riding in quads or motorcycles or ATVs or dune buggies, whatever, lots of incredible opportunities. One of the best places that you can actually do that on the West Coast, the Oregon sand dunes. It's endless riding, and it's really, really spectacular. So if that's something that you have dreamt about in your retirement, is being able to just hop on in your side-by-side or your quads or whatever and go, this is a spot that is definitely worth considering. Additionally, Oregon Coast, fantastic food, great fresh seafood all throughout the coast, whether it's oysters or rockfish or fresh salmon or all the whole nine. There's all sorts of great options. And overall, just a nice, peaceful, slower lifestyle that you find with that small town, and that sense of community and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of those things going forward. And in addition to the just overall general, like more affordable, it's probably the most affordable area on this list. And it's not hard to find a home in the 400 range. But obviously, as you go into bigger homes or closer to the ocean, it's going to go up and up and up as you do those things. So those are the things that are really good about it. Also, the cost of living is quite low at only 105% of the national average. So just a little tiny bit above the national average. But again, on the West Coast, that's actually quite low. So those are some of the things that Oregon Coast has going for it. Let's talk about some of the downsides though, okay? So the Oregon Coast is definitely going to be windier, wetter, and just wilder weather than you're going to see really anywhere else on this list. 77 inches of rain on average over there. And the sunshine is just totally variable. I don't even know if we could put a number on it because the fog and the marine layer and all that kind of stuff that you just never know what you're going to get. It could be beautiful one day and then just socked in with fog the next, and you never know. But if you're looking to avoid the heat and the sunshine, that's definitely a good spot to do it. You're definitely going to have fewer medical resources on the Oregon Coast than really any other town on this list. There's very few hospitals over there, and it's something that is really worth thinking through and just what that might look like if there were a situation where you needed to get to the hospital quickly. It's really difficult to do from over there. And that's primarily because it's super isolated. And that is also something that, when it comes to airports or traveling, to other parts of the country or internationally, it's difficult because you're going to have to travel to somewhere like Eugene or Southern Oregon or even Portland to get to an airport that is going to have flights that can get you around. The Oregon Coast has the North Bend Airport in Coos Bay, which is the biggest city on the Oregon Coast. But even then, I think they have one flight, and that's from, to San Francisco and maybe to Denver with United Airlines. So again, those are just things that are worth, considering, and maybe you don't do a lot of traveling, or maybe you travel in a motorhome or something like that. And those aren't a big deal to you, but if you do plan to utilize an airport a lot, expect to, if you're living on the Oregon Coast, to have a solid 2-hour drive in most cases to get to an airport that is actually, somewhere you can get in and out of easily. But when it comes to the coast, isolation is just really a big deal breaker for a lot of those retirees. If you need immediate medical attention, you're not going to be able to get that in a lot of cases. You're going to be hours away, probably an ambulance ride, maybe a helicopter, or even a flight out if the situation is severe enough. And that's something that, again, it's just important for you to be aware of, so you know what you're getting yourself into. But that has been the biggest piece of feedback I've got from folks that have looked at the Oregon Coast. Is it's just a little too isolated, and it's a better place to just go visit on the weekends or plan to spend some time there, maybe even have a cabin or something over there that you can go to and experience it when you want to have some good seafood or clam chowder or something. Make that trip over there and enjoy it. But in the meantime, let's move on to number 3 on this list, and that is Roseburg. So if you're looking for that small town feel and affordability, Roseburg might surprise you, okay? It's tucked in along the Umpqua River. Roseburg is also right on Interstate 5 between Eugene and Medford. It offers just a quieter pace and some really beautiful scenery. The Umpqua Valley there around Roseburg is beautiful. Great wineries, great fishing, and close proximity to nature and all that kind of stuff. I do get a lot of questions from people about Roseburg. And in fact, I actually just showed some properties up there last week to some folks that were considering relocating from Colorado, and their feedback was pretty consistent with what I've heard from others, which is that it's just a little too isolated, similar to the coast. It's an hour to Eugene, it's an hour to Medford, and really all you have there in Roseburg, you have a Costco, you have a small hospital, and that's about it. There's no airport. That's nothing to speak of really. But there's not really anything going on there in terms of like the downtown area, kind of run down town feeling, 25,000 people or so in the town, so it's not really like a big enough town to attract more development and stuff. It's just kind of this, you know, in-between spot between Southern Oregon, which is a bigger population center of a few 100,000, and then Eugene, which is bigger than that. And so it's kind of this no man's land, for lack of a better way of putting it. Sorry if that offends anybody in Roseburg, but it kind of is. It is beautiful and has, you know, some good things going, like I mentioned, but let's actually dive into those a little bit more, and let's talk about some of those good things. So to start it off with the good things, let's say that Roseburg is pretty affordable, okay? And it's not uncommon to find a home under 400,000 up there. Again, like everywhere, if you go and get bigger pieces of property, riverfront property, vineyard type property, you can go way up from there into the millions. But overall, I mean, it's not that difficult to find a place under 400,000 or right around there. At least that's in respectable shape, and that's a nice home that you can live in. It's a peaceful area, good laid back lifestyle, close to rivers, forests, nice beautiful drives. If you like hunting, there's great opportunities there. Fishing, the Umpqua River, the Coquille River, all those are you know, just close proximity, great options there. Good, you know, friendly community feel there. Again, the hospital is there, but it's small. So, you know, getting immediate care and stabilized is fine, and that's totally something they can do. But anything bigger, you're going to need to go to Eugene or Portland, more than likely. And the weather is something that's actually pretty good there in Roseburg, and 182 days of sun a year on average is what they say, and about 33 inches of rain. I do remember distinctly when I was going to college in Eugene, being able to drive back home down to Southern Oregon, where I'm from, which is right here, the town of Rogue River, right behind me. But I remember driving down a lot of times, and it would be pouring rain in Eugene, and there'd just be a line basically right there in the clouds, right around Roseburg, sometimes above it, sometimes below it. And it would always just kind of open up the further south you got, and there would be beautiful blue skies down here, and it'd be pouring rain in Eugene and somewhere in the middle in Roseburg. So that's kind of a good rule of thumb, as the weather starts to get, you know, better and better as you go south. But Roseburg's right at the line where they do get a good amount of sunshine at 182 days, like I said, but they also get a good amount of rain at about 33 inches per year. Now for the downsides, okay? So there are just a lot less amenities in Roseburg than the larger towns, which is pretty obvious, right? Healthcare is going to be limited in comparison to Eugene and Medford, pretty limited in that respect, but it is there again with the hospital. I don't know, you know, in terms of the specialists, how much the availability is there for those types of things, but I know it's not anywhere near what you have with a place like Medford and Eugene. Another piece of the feedback we hear a lot is that it just feels really rural and isolated. Again, like I said, there just isn't much near it. Let's move to number 2, and that is Bend, Oregon. So if you are wanting mountain views, great weather, and modern living, Bend has serious appeal. It's beautiful. It's well known for its sunshine, for its recreation, and for the active lifestyle. It's polished, it's clean, it has a strong reputation, but it also comes at a cost. If I were to take a trip anywhere on this list, it would definitely be to Bend, Oregon. And if I were to buy a second home anywhere on this list, it would definitely be in Bend, Oregon. I'm a big fan of Bend, and I sell real estate in Bend. So if you're looking at Central Oregon, reach on out. But if I'll tell you this area it's worthy of praise for a lot of reasons, okay? And I'm gonna tell you all about those. So Bend has a lot of things going for it, and most notably is just the great weather, the sunshine. 300 plus days of sunshine a year and only 11 inches of rain, but there's actually more to that story, and we'll talk about that in a second. Absolutely endless trails for biking, for mountain biking, snow skiing. There's lakes, there's rivers, there's a respectable healthcare system over there. There's great restaurants and breweries and good walkability to the core areas of town. But there are also some downsides to Bend, and that is the cost, okay? That is the number one thing that people complain about with Bend and the surrounding areas. It is expensive, $750,000 for the median single-family residential home, and a cost of living that's 120% of the national average. So again, only 20% above the national average for a really touristy town. So it's not, you know, outrageously expensive like some of the other tourist destinations you would see on other lists, but gosh, that $750,000 $150,000 as a median price point is pretty excessive. Real estate does tend to be pretty competitive in the area, and so retirees need to just be realistic about the budget. Can you afford that median or even more? If you're looking at like $1 million plus, there's some good options, but to get into some of the really beautiful communities there that are pretty well known, like the Pronghorn community in Tethero and Brasada Ranch and some of those others, Sun River and whatnot, you're going to be spending a lot of money because you're fighting against others that are, very well off and that have the means to be able to do it. So it's a great area. Really, really love it, but it is extremely costly in comparison to the other places on this list, maybe other than like the Lake Oswego area. They could definitely feel pretty busy during the peak seasons with tourism, and that's pretty much year round. It seems like summer brings a lot of folks in for the outdoor recreational opportunities, whether it's hiking, biking, golfing, whatever it is, rafting the Deschutes River, fishing is pretty much year round. And it brings a lot of people in the winter when they want to go snow skiing at Mount Bachelor or biking on the snow with the big fat tire bikes and all that. There's so much to do in Bend, and that's the big attraction to a lot of people. But the downside though also, and we kind of alluded to earlier, is with the weather, it is colder. It's much colder than anywhere else on this list, with the winter lows getting into the teens pretty commonly, and even below that. And with that comes snow and a lot of it. And you could be talking about a foot or more on a lot of occasions. And so, if you're not one that wants to shovel out your driveway to go to the grocery store or those types of things, then, or if you're not comfortable driving in the snow, then this is one you might want to consider crossing off the list, or maybe looking at somewhere else like the number one spot that we'll talk about, which has close proximity to all the fun that Bend offers and all the fun that, the Oregon coast offers, and Eugene and all these other places that we've talked about. It's about equal distance to all those. But before we get into that one, I'm going to tell you, Bend it's fancy, it's trendy, probably the most popular spot on this list. It's been featured in every magazine you could think of for good reason. It really is an incredible spot, but it is expensive and it is busy. And that actually brings us to the top spot, and I'm really excited to share that one with you. And that is beautiful Southern Oregon, which you can see right behind me. So if you were looking for the most balanced place to retire in Oregon, this is most likely it, okay? Southern Oregon gives you the rare mix of beautiful weather, like you can see here, tons of outdoor recreation, and a much lower cost of living compared to cities like Bend or Portland, okay? Towns like Medford, Ashland, Grants Pass are really popular and really, really beautiful. Again, it kind of just strikes in this good middle ground area where it offers great vineyards like the Willamette Valley does. It offers great outdoor recreation like the Bend area does. It offers great weather like Bend and like Roseburg, but even better actually. So in Southern Oregon, you're going to see 200 plus days of sunshine a year. So not quite what Bend is seeing, but still really, really good. Only 20 inches of rainfall is what we experience every year here in Southern Oregon, and just really affordable. Okay, so the median home price here in Southern Oregon is only $450,000, and the cost of living is 102% of the national average, so just barely above. So it also offers a great art scene. So again, Eugene and Corvallis offer fantastic art scenes, but Ashland is spectacular for the arts, and it was named one of the top small art towns in the U.S. With the Shakespeare Festival and all that it has going on there. It really is a top-notch art scene there in Ashland. And then the vineyards all around the Rogue Valley, like Del Rio and Danson and Humminbird and all these great vineyards that we have around here. It just has a lot to offer, and great golf courses like Centennial and the Rogue Valley Country Club and Eagle Point Golf Course. Lots to do alongside world-class fishing on the Rogue River and rafting on the Rogue River and kayaking and boating, and there's just so many things to do here that it's just rare to find that combination of being able to do it all and to do it affordably, which is what you can do here in Southern Oregon. We also have very good medical care here in Southern Oregon. And so when you talk about, what does the area have going for it? Like, that's the list right there. All of those things are spectacular. The medical care, the Sante Rogue Regional Hospital has been rated one of the top 15 hospital systems in the country for many years in a row. And so, it treats an area of, 600,000 or 700,000 people across Northern California and Southern Oregon as, level 3 trauma centers. there. So just a great, hospital system there, with also Providence is another hospital in the Medford area, but there's a hospital in Grants Pass as well, a hospital in Ashland as well, and specialists, across the board, all sorts of assisted living homes, and just, it's really an area that was almost meant to be for retirement. And so that's why we get a lot of folks who decide ultimately to retire here. It's weather that's similar to California with prices that are nowhere near it. So it's just a rare combination to be able to find all that. But like anywhere, it's not all, rainbows and sunshine. There's definitely some downsides of Southern Oregon, and I'm going to tell you about those right now. The first one is that it's just not quite as walkable as some of the, city suburbs and some of the other places on the list. There's not as much of a downtown to the Medford area, for example, whereas in comparison to somewhere like Bend, you have a very nice walkable downtown. But Ashland offers that in Southern Oregon. Grants Pass has a nice walkable downtown area, and Jacksonville also has a really wonderful downtown area that's very walkable and nice and touristy and all that. Southern Oregon is definitely growing fast, so it might be something that looks different in 10 years or so. There's been a lot of infrastructure improvements, and that can be kind of inconvenient. So when you're thinking about, the downsides, that's something that you might be dealing with road work and construction for a while all around here, because it's just growing so much due to the popularity. But it also offers a slower pace of life that just isn't really for everyone. If you're the type of person that you like to go out, you want a good bar scene and that type of stuff, Medford's not going to provide that, but you're going to find things like that in Ashland and Jacksonville, where you'll have a little more nightlife opportunities in those areas. But one of the things you're not going to have really in any of the areas is more of the high-end shopping. So if you really like going to Pottery Barn, Williams-Sonoma, Nordstrom's, we don't have any of that here in Southern Oregon yet. It would be nice to see it, but who knows when or if that's ever going to happen. But really, one of the best things about Southern Oregon is just the fact that it's really diverse in the types of cities that you have to choose from, right? So if you're somebody that you want that really small rural town, we've got that for you. If you want the higher mountain town, we've got that. A river town, we have that. If you want bigger towns with new developments, golf course front, close to medical, close to vineyards, space to garden, do you want, a really conservative town or a really liberal town, whatever the case is, we really have all of those things here in Southern Oregon. And that's one of the things that makes it so appealing and so attractive to so many people, is it's just kind of has everything that you could ever want. So those are what makes Southern Oregon just so appealing to so many people, is it's just not too small, it's not too big, it's just right, okay? And it's not the most affordable town on this list, but it's pretty good. The medical isn't the best on this list, but it's pretty good. It's not the most trendy on this list, but it's pretty good. And it doesn't have the biggest airport. It's maybe not the most impressive name to tell your friends, but it will feel like home to most people. And I can, tell you that from experience. And I invite you to come experience that for yourself. You see, retiring in Oregon is about finding a place that fits your lifestyle and your pace and your priorities. And if you're feeling a little overwhelmed by all the options, or you're unsure, which trade-offs are actually worth it, you're definitely not alone, okay? I've helped hundreds of people from all over the country to figure this out. So if you're planning to retire in Oregon, or you're considering retiring in Oregon, call or text the number on your screen right now, or send me an email. You can find that in the description of this video, and we'll go through all of your options together. Again, I'm Brian Simmons with the Buying Southern Oregon Real Estate Team. I appreciate you watching this video, and I hope you'll check out this next one right here on the screen, and it'll help you learn even more about beautiful Southern Oregon and the state that we live in here in Oregon. So thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.